Good morning, good morning, good morning. And how is everyone today? I feel like we're a little tardy today. How do I very slow pickup this morning? Unless Zoom is taking like forever. But all right, cool. There's everyone. Yeah, I thought for a second, wow, nobody wants to join me today on a wonderful Saturday. But Zoom took a couple of seconds before it populated. So a lot of people. So welcome. All right, so a couple of things. One, the automation's alive, but there is, of course, there has to be a following sentence to that. So I was talking to V yesterday, who said, "Hey, Ant, I spoke to Steve, and the automations are live, but they're a week behind." And I was like, I didn't know that. So I spoke to Steve, and in coding of the bot, because the plans are weekly, for the bot to know who's already been paid versus those who have not been paid. Hey, Frida, the bot needs to have like a clean slate. So what Steve had decided to do, and not decided as in like unilaterally, but he has this discretion. He's kind of like the smartest person I know. He went ahead and for all current members, there's going to be a 1 week lag so that the bot can refresh and know that everyone that's a member is all paid up. And those that are new members are immediate real time because they're new, right? Like we know that they have not been paid yet. All things being equal, one would say, at least I thought, I was like, wait, that sounds so weird. Our current members are a week behind, but the new people are right away. And it's almost like when you watch those Verizon commercials or Sprint commercials where it's like, and if you're a new customer, you get the iPhone for free. But if you're an existing customer for like 20 years, you could go kick rocks, right? So that's not the case. And I always never liked those commercials much. So I'm just speaking as if I always put myself on both sides of this computer screen. So that's the way it is. We're going to do a bulk send Monday so that everyone is caught up. But to know that the automations are live is amazing. Like it's done. It finally is done. It's live. It's working. Now it's just bridging ourselves to that 1 week, which actually is, I think, only 5 more days at this point. So we'll do a bulk send Monday. And if we have to, again, Wednesday, because anyone's like, hey, Ant, we will, and happily do so. So that's that. What else did I write? Oh, so our RVP group now has, I believe, 1,600 unique visitors to our lander page. Now I had a team meeting with the RVP yesterday, and what I shared with everyone, and which actually was the hiring criteria, was do you have passion, right? Like if you can go ahead and have a level of passion, I can do the rest. Because in any type of really well-run machine, there's components that are necessary. And what I mean by that is you need to have someone that's completely passionate, that's completely willing to work. And it is in that passion of the passion of the vision, the passion of the outcome that person works. And I don't want to say with no questions asked because that sounds a bit militaristic, but they believe in the long story. Therefore, they don't question everything along the way. And why I say that is I remember when I was younger and I was in the stock market, and when I was new and, when I was the newcomer, I would be afraid to pitch a stock, right? Like, oh my God, I don't want to call this person at 5 o'clock. He's having dinner. He's going to be upset at me. Or I want to wait for the stock to come a little bit lower so that I could get the best price, or. And other than sounding like a seal, all I was doing was finding reasons that I was giving him to tell me no. Right? Like I was already thinking about why he should say no to me. And that mentality is very destructive, because anyone that's in a sales position or a marketing position or anyone that is in charge of spreading awareness, if they're already telling themselves no, well, then how does anyone else tell you yes? It's like when you find certain people, certain guys and certain girls, and they're always like, oh, well, I always find the guy that, is really mean to me, or I always find the girl that is really mean to me. Well, do you think it's like you just have bad luck, or do you think that you allow it and these people find you, right? So for instance, if you're like you, if like say you're a guy and you date girls and you don't care that they go hang out with their ex-boyfriends. Yeah, yeah, she hangs out with her ex-boyfriend. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Well, the girls that are looking to cheat on the boyfriend see you and say, "Oh, well, that guy's gonna, he accepts it. No big deal." And then that guy spends his whole life saying, "Why do I always get? Why am I so unlucky?" Well, you're not. You bring it on yourself. And that's the way sales work. If you already go into the conversation thinking that they're going to say no, well, they're going to say no because people are mirrors of you. They treat you the way you treat yourself. So when there's boys and girls that, like, say, for instance, there's a guy that walks around with holes in his jeans and he smells all the time and he wonders why no one ever respects him. Well, you clearly don't respect you. So why am I going to respect you? You clearly know more about you than I do. And if you don't like you, well, I don't like you. So that's the way sales works. And when I was in the stock market, I was always defeating myself before I got on the phone. And what I mean by not questioning, it's not that you're not questioning, because you should always question, but it's when you believe that the person you're working with knows more than you, well, then you have to trust that even though you don't understand something, you go along with it. Because by definition of them knowing more than you, they can be telling you something right that you do not understand why it's right, because you don't know as much as them. So when I worked for, these senior brokers, they would say, "Anthony, I don't care if it's 5 o'clock and you believe the guy's eating dinner. Because you know what? It could also equally be 5 o'clock, he stayed at work late because he had a big call. He's super excited. And anyone that calls him right now, he's going to say yes to. Can you tell me that's not happening right now?" And I would say, "No, I can't." Well, they said, "Well, then stop giving reasons that the person can say no to you and call them." And the point being, in making these many, many calls, I got told no many, many times, and that's fine. The belief was no matter how many times you got told no, you were always closer to getting a yes. And not because simple mathematics, which are true, like that mathematically is correct, but because you were always learning something along the way. So for instance, when I called someone from California at 5 o'clock, they were always in a good mood. I didn't know that. I thought they were eating dinner, but duh, it's 2 o'clock over there. I would have not known that if I didn't make the calls. Or, men between 50 and 60, if you call them at 7 o'clock and they own their own business, they just are finishing the books and they're looking to kind of have a casual conversation. So speak to them and say, "Hey, what's up, John? How are you?" Right? There's no rule book for that. You're not born knowing that. You have to learn that. So when you get into a process, and what I was sharing with RVP was, yes, I know the landers aren't perfect. Yes, I know the sales page isn't perfect. Yes, I know all of that's not perfect. And to their credit, we have close to 1,600 visitors and 4 transactions. And in fact, I think 70 opt-ins. On any metric, those numbers are wildly underwhelming. But that's not the point. The point is, were we able to get the visitors there? The answer is yes. When the visitors are there, they're either leaving or they're opting in. What's the deciding factor of what they do? It's the presentation, it's the lander, it's how the look and feel is. Well, when so many people say no, we know that it's not good. But because the visitors are the constant, because RVP has the passion, because RVP is going with the process and they keep sending and sending and sending, what does that allow RHINO to do? To test. We could change the lander from A to B. Now all of a sudden the conversions went from 1% to 4%. Great, we're on to something. Now we could change the lander from B to C while keeping the things that we believe were good about B. The conversion goes a little higher. The point being, by RVP simply working with passion and trusting the long-term vision, they're creating a scenario that allows RHINO to test, and of course with their advice as well. It's not like, "Hey, RVP, sit there and just keep sending people and don't tell me what you think." In fact, our RVP Slack group is amazing. There's so much. Excuse me, "Anthony, I think we should do this. Anthony, I think we should do this. Anthony, we should do this. I think we." And because Anthony isn't a marketer, Anthony takes a look at all that advice and Anthony's going to do all of it. So what that's going to look like Monday is a super duper duper upgrade. But does that now give not permission, but is that an alarm to is that now saying, okay, RVP, we're going to go ahead and change it Monday, therefore Saturday and Sunday just stop what you're doing? No. And can RVP or anyone that's on the affiliate side say, well, Ant, if it's going to change Monday, why would I send people to something that's not working? Well, it's not that it's not working. We have conversions. It's that it's working very with a low probability. But did we go ahead and send it to everyone in the world? Do we know the ultimate probability? Is there a chance that maybe on Saturdays this lander page performs? Do you know that? I don't know that. I know there's a way to find out. And the way to find out isn't simply by any of us saying, oh, well, let's just wait till Monday. Is there a way, can we find out if maybe this lander page, or maybe people want to opt in on Sundays? Maybe the product and maybe the platform and maybe RHINO as a whole is not sexy to people Monday through Friday because they're not spending time thinking about something. And on Sunday, they do have the time to think about it. And on Sunday, they actually look through all of it. And maybe Sunday's our biggest opt-in day. Do you know that? I don't, but I know there's a way to find out. The point being, as long as your passion is there and as long as you keep going forward, we're going to get to the point of, and I don't want to say perfection, but of what we're supposed to be. Because through the testing and the advice and the collaboration, I would say within 3 weeks, I would say that by January, we're going to have a optimally performing funnel system. And I think that's amazing. I think if we can go ahead and say to ourselves, we'll have an optimally performing funnel system by January, but in doing so, we're going to look a little silly for these next 3 weeks. Is that okay? Now, embedded in the question, before you even answer it, it's a very flawed question. You have to have such an ego to think that anybody cares about that your lander doesn't look perfect. It's almost like when you go to a party and you want to leave and you're like, oh, I just got here an hour ago, I can't leave now. Says who? Who there thinks you're so important that the party will not continue because you left? Nobody. You have an ego about yourself. So for anyone who would say, answer the question, well, Ann, I would feel a little silly these next couple of weeks. You have an ego the size of something that you don't even know because nobody cares. Because the reality is everyone is bombarded with content and engagement all of the time. Everyone's being sold every second of every day that no one even remembers you. And then in January, say, God willing, that person does remember you. And they say, you know what, Frida, you sent me a lander page, you sent me a lander page December 11th and I didn't like it. And because I didn't like it, I just have a very low confidence in anything that you're doing because I have such a good memory. And, that one lander page was worth, painting the picture of you for the rest of your life. So Frida goes, well, that sounds really, it sounds like a big thing. But in fact, all of December, I took the time to hear everyone's advice. And because of gentlemen such as yourself, I was able to upgrade it to something that's really magnificent. And I think you would appreciate the growth. And I think you would find it representative of who we are, that we can adapt to something that you believe was so bad that now you're going to believe it's so good. Because reality is what people invest in, what people want is recognizable growth. All things being equal, if you show me something perfect today versus someone that shows me something horrible a week ago, but now they have it perfect, I'll take that person over you every day of the week because they have the ability to identify what's wrong and to improve. I don't know if you have that. You're just showing me something perfect. I don't even know if you made it. I know nothing. So Frida says, well, would you let me show it to you? And of course the guy says yes, because he already put so much of his opinion in the conversation. Frida shows it to him and he goes, wow, this is magnificent. I would have never thought you could do this. Bingo. Yeah, you would have never thought. Well, let me tell you some other things you would have never thought. This is what we're going to do this year. And just like you thought I couldn't do this, I'm going to impress you and surprise you. So why don't you join over here? I think it's the least you owe me. The point being, one person could see that conversation and say, oh my God, this guy, I'm so embarrassed. I'm mortified. I can't call him. And then there's another person like me that would say, no, this is a great opportunity. I can't wait to get him on the phone. The point being, trust the process. Do not tell yourself no. Always tell yourself yes, ethically, right? Like, would you give this to your mother? If the answer is yes, then there should be no reason why you can't share it with other people. Yeah, no, Frida. And the point is, we're going to make a bunch of mistakes. We don't even know what's happening right now. Well, we know, but like, we're going to make it better. And that's the opportunity. So I just want to touch on that because that's kind of the conversation I had with RVP, and I'm going to continue having. But it's only with those with passion, right? There are people in the group that, for whatever reason, have very, very low visitors, like 2. And I'm not going to believe that anyone sent out a whole bunch of correspondence, like 100 a day, and only 2 people clicked it, right? So if somebody says to me, Ant, well, that really is the case. I sent out 500 and I only got 2. Well, I'm willing to work with that person. Like, I don't judge anyone, but in lieu of someone telling me that, I'm going to believe you just didn't work, right? And if you don't work, I don't think less of you, but the criteria for being an RVP is passion. And I believe that not working is probably synonymous with not having passion either, right? So that's just, I didn't make the rules. Like, that's what God made. I do want to say that because the community at large looks at me as a steward of RHINO, and Anthony's a really nice person. Anthony loves everyone. But it's always funny, like when you say but, you delete everything before that. So let me not say that. Anthony loves everyone. And Anthony in business loves everyone who puts in the same amount of passion as him. And because he loves those people, he feels that the best way to reward them is to put them in a situation with others like them. Therefore, it would be punishing the people that work the hardest to keep them alongside others who are not working, because it will only pull them down. Hence, for RHINO to be successful, RHINO has to be in positions to be successful. So that's my really, really nice way of saying what I'm thinking in my head right now. So that's all good stuff. Also, with the email today, you'll see that it was the first time I really kind of got a little aggressive. And that's because I'm accountable to RHINO. You know, I know I'm over. I'm 7 minutes over. My wife today is like, Ant, you're really getting comfortable going 20 minutes. And I'm like, I know I got to get back to 10. But things are just good. I like having these conversations. But yeah, it's actually a factual sentence to say anyone that's ever participated in RHINO is happy, is profitable. That not a single person that ever bought RHINO has a loss. RHINO right now is about $2.10. It went public at $1 like 40 days ago. I think it was up like 37 of the 40 days, and I think it's been up 20 days in a row. The email today shows where we are, where we're going, and the bigger picture. And with and everyone knows the email because I sent it to all of our members yesterday. That was the email I sent for everyone to ask people to upgrade their plan. Some said yes, some said no, and some didn't respond, and that's perfectly great. But the email was so good that I was like, you know what? It would be a real disservice not to share this with the community at large. And I wanted to do that, and I also want to say to everyone, listen, you've been watching this for months. Every single day that you could have got in was the right decision. Therefore, every day that you did not get in was the wrong decision. Now, if I know how many wrong decisions you've made, and I know how many wrong decisions you're going to make in the future, is it not my job to say, hey, listen, I need to kind of shake you a little bit. Like, if you're interested in this, which you clearly are, you're opening every email, then it's time to take a little bit of a leap of faith and know that I'm going to not let you down. And if you are not interested, then God bless, don't do anything. No one's forcing you to. But if you are that person, it's time. Like, enough is enough. Just get in. So that's that. Tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary. So the wife and I are going out for dinner tonight, and we're gonna go see a comedy show, and we're gonna sleep, right? Like, when you have 2 kids under 2, you don't actually sleep. Like, we wake up every couple of hours, and my wife, so it's kind of funny, like I'm more, I'll handle the boy 14, 15 months when he gets up, and she handles the girl because she's breastfeeding. So obviously I can't do that. But by default, my wife is getting up every hour or two, and I get up maybe once or twice during the night. And I hear, I'll get up because I hear her, but I'm not like up. So the idea of like actually sleeping, we'll be in bed by 9 o'clock. And you would think, Anthony, you're going to Atlantic City, like there's so much fun. Yeah, in a really big bed with a beautiful comforter and like the AC on and blacked out windows. So that's what we'll be doing. What else do I have? So I think that's it. So super exciting stuff, right? We're again at another all-time high. 349 members is an all-time high. I put a couple of images in our email so that everyone could actually see, like, wow, we really did get this many visitors. Wow, look at the trajectory of the members. Wow, the coin really has gone exactly where it is. It's a good thing, and we're going to do good things. And last story, it just reminds me of when I was in the stock market, and I've told the story before. There was a company, Sears Holding, and everyone remembers Sears. It was like the biggest company in the world in 1950, and now it's bankrupt. And the thing was, during the right before the what was it? No, right after the market collapse in 2008, Sears collapsed too, because after the great financial crisis, it was like, oh my God, like no one's shopping anymore. Everyone lost their jobs. Sears can't, sell clothes, which was true. They're a terrible retailer. But when the Fed and the government started doing monetary easing, where they were just printing money left and right, it was to go ahead and create inflation. It was to put money back in the economy. And when you create inflation, fixed assets go up because you can't make any more of them, like real estate. And real estate values, if you remember, started soaring after 2007, 2008, after 2009, after the market crash. And what no one cared to think of when it came to Sears was Sears owned all their own real estate. Now, their company was terrible, their retails were terrible, they made no sales, but they were worth more dead than alive. If you went ahead and knocked down all the Sears, the real estate was what was worth a lot. So I went through the balance sheets and all the other stuff, and I bought it at like $80. It ended up going to $200, but I went to my boss at the time and said, Rob, I think Sears is a great buy right now. He's like, okay, and I walked away. And then like 3 months later, when it doubled or tripled, right, 80 to 200, I go, see, I told you Sears was a great buy. He goes, and this was Wall Street, right? So his language was very colorful. So let me try to paint it for you. Anthony, if you really thought that, you would have made me buy, you would have sat there, you would have made your case, but instead all you did was you said one thing, and if you were wrong, no one would ever remember, and if you were right, you'd come over here. The next time you know something, you go ahead and put your neck out there. And I've always remembered that, because it's true. Like if your friend's about to drive drunk, you go to take his keys, and if he says, no, I don't want you to, do you say, no, okay? No, because you know what's gonna happen, so you feel really confident to just take the keys. Well, I think I've been doing a big disservice when it comes to RHINO, because I have not been doing that. And I think I need to start doing that, but at the same time, some people's feathers get a little ruffled when you push them. But at the same time, if you're correct in where you're going, those that had their feathers ruffled, what do they say? They look back and say, yeah, I was opted into the emails for this company RHINO, and they just told me I need to, and I didn't, and it bothered me, so I unsubscribed. And then the friend goes, yeah, wait, RHINO? That super big company that like everything is $1 million or something? And the friend goes, yeah, that one. And then you know what the friend says? Well, you should have. Like, look what happened. And you know what the other friend says? Yeah, I know, I wish I did. The point being, if you're confident that you know where you're going to go, there's no such thing as ruffling someone's feathers, because you're literally just telling them the right thing to do. And if they don't do it and they leave you, they will look back after you prove and do what you said you were going to do and say, I wish I took their advice, but they'll respect you. They'll say, you know what? They did their best to get me in. This was my fault, not theirs. If I could go back in time, I would have got in. So I think it's time that we kind of take that next step together. And what it looks like, we'll figure it out. We're gonna, start it with RVP. I have a call with them Monday. But the point is, things have been really great. They're about to get a whole lot better. So I love everyone. The next time you see my face, I will be married for over a year. I'm a year minus a day right now. You'll see me at a year plus a day. And I can only tell you that today was better than yesterday, but it's not going to be as good as tomorrow. All right. I love everyone. Bye.